This is the Vintage Collection Jabba, otherwise known as the Walmart Jabba, because it was a Walmart exclusive. It came with a throne and an Ula figure and lots of cool accessories. And this, I think, would be one of the best Jabba figures of all time if it wasn't for one fairly major flaw, and that is that the body has a tendency to get sticky over time. And you can see it's kind of shiny and glossy here. That wasn't how it originally looked. And if you touch it, it's pretty nasty and sticky feeling. Basically, it has deteriorated over time. Also, I never thought that the body looked particularly good. They tried to do an articulated tail, and I just don't think the effect really worked that well. So while I was attempting to figure out what to do about this sticky-bodied Jabba, it occurred to me that I might be able to actually take the head from this figure and put it on the body of the vintage Kenner Jabba. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing in this video today. So just to explain very briefly how this figure is constructed, the bottom part here is composed of a sort of sleeve that is made of a rubbery material, and this is the material that's kind of gone bad over time. It's got this armature in it that has the tail sort of posing mechanism in it. It's just a thick wire, and then there's a thing on the top there where the head of the figure would attach. The vintage Jabba here is, two main sections. You've got the body with the moving tail, and then you've got this head section. If you pull fairly hard and twist at the same time, it is possible to remove this because this is made out of a more flexible kind of rubber or plastic than the body is. And in fact, that's what I've done here with this one. This is one that I got who was missing an arm in a kind of lot, and so I thought I would put him to good use and take his body section here. You can see it's got this section that sticks up, and that's kind of what controls the tail movement. So what I want to do is to just get this on top of here in a way that would allow it to still, turn the tail when I move the head. So what I ended up doing was just taking my flush cutters and cutting around the hole just a little bit more, and then I brought out my heat gun and softened up the plastic enough that I could actually put the head on. I don't know how well you can tell this on camera, but this is definitely taller, maybe about half an inch or so taller than the original Walmart version there. And also, just generally speaking, the body seems, a lot bigger and fuller and more appropriate for Jabba, in my opinion. This body here has always seemed a little bit spindly when you get down to this part of the tail. So I'm definitely happy with how that works. And we've got the tail movement mechanism working just fine. Seems like it's on there relatively well. So next stage is to prime this white, probably, and then go ahead and paint it. After spray painting it white, I used the airbrush to put down a base layer of green, which seemed to be going okay, but then I noticed on the head that the paint was not really drying properly. In fact, it was cracking, and I was able to scrape it off very easily with a thumbnail in one part. I'm wondering if there wasn't something on the head of the figure as well, just like on the body, that made it kind of react badly to paint. So I ended up waiting several weeks between that initial green coat and what I'm going to show you now, partially just because I wasn't sure if I was even going to be able to go on with this project. I wasn't sure if the paint was going to stick properly, but I also wanted to give it every chance to fully cure. So as you can see, the first step was just to go back over it with green again to make sure that there weren't any patches of white or any cracks showing. Then on the front of his torso and his body area, as well as some of the bottom part of the body, I used this orangey brown color and then went back over that with a lighter orange. Then I came back in with the green again just to smooth out the transition between the two colors a little bit more. And finally I took a kind of darker brown and put that on the bottom to give some shading. Then I decided I would go ahead and put the head back on the body with the heat gun and move on to doing some of the detail work like the eyes and the mouth and so forth. If I'm honest with myself, I have a tendency to spend way too long on this kind of paint job. I used to do everything by hand with a brush and do 5 or 10 layers of highlights or something ridiculous like that. It would just take forever, and oftentimes it didn't really even make a difference. So I've been trying to do a much simpler paint job recently, and the airbrush has really helped with that. This entire paint job probably took, if you don't include drying time, 45 minutes or something like that. Not a big deal at all compared to what I used to spend. Of course, a lot of that was spent on the eyes, which are always going to be the hardest part of probably any figure, but Jabba in particular is a little challenging, and I'm not sure this was my best job doing eyes for Jabba, but it turned out okay in the end, I think. Here I'm adding some gloss coat to the eyes and nostrils and the mouth area with his drool and so forth. So here's the finished product, and I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. I think the marriage of the head to the body is pretty seamless. It doesn't look strange or out of place. In fact, it looks like it was designed this way, in my opinion. So that's pretty cool. And of course, looks quite a bit better than what we had before with the Walmart Jabba. You can see just how flat and scrawny that body looks in comparison to this. I think it's really no comparison. Obviously, the paint is also not great on this one. Turned out reasonably well, I think, on this. The eyes, depending on the angle, it looks a little cross-eyed because of the studio lights shining on the gloss coat that I put on there, but they're actually not, they're not cross-eyed in reality. Yeah, I think it turned out pretty well. And this, honestly, might be the best solution for a 3 3/4 inch Jabba until they come out with maybe something better, which doesn't seem like is going to happen anytime soon. I think it's better looking, frankly, than the Black Series one that they made here. This one always, I do like this one, but it always seemed like his head was a little too small somehow. And you don't get that here. And of course, the paint job on this could be better, although it's not too bad. Anyway, just thought I would put this out here, if anyone wants to maybe give it a shot. Unfortunately, the Walmart Jabbas are quite expensive. Even if you're able to get one on its own without the rest of the set, they can be on the expensive side. So I don't know if it's a good idea to be trying to buy one and then sacrificing it for this kind of mod. But, if you already had an extra one or something, you could give it a shot. We've also got the tail wagging mechanism, which I think is a lot better than, say, the wire in the tail that we had with the Walmart Jabba, and we've got articulation, of course, in the arms and hands, so pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and put him on a throne just so you can see him in his natural environment and see what that looks like. So here he is on the throne. This throne is actually a wooden one that I got on eBay a while back. I believe I put it in a collection pickups video or something a little while back. The guy on eBay who makes all kinds of sort of Jabba's Palace throne room environment pieces like that rotisserie there in the background. I'll put a link to his eBay store in the video description if you're interested. But yeah, this is a pretty nice little throne, not too expensive either. Anyway, I think he looks quite good here with the new Bib Fortuna figure as well. By the way, I should mention, I actually came up with this idea to combine these two figures more than 10 years ago, but I never went beyond just sort of putting the head on the figure's body, the vintage figure's body, and never, actually painted it or anything. And it wasn't until a viewer named Hoyt got in contact with me and said that he had finished his own version of the figure and showed me some pictures of it that I kind of got motivated to actually finish mine. So thanks for that, Hoyt. I'll show you his version here, and also put a link to his Instagram in the video description so you can check him out as well. That's about it for today's video. Thanks very much for watching. Like all my videos, this one was brought to you with the help of my Patreon supporters, including these Palace VIPs, Angelica Brady and Jesper Murtu. I really appreciate your support, everyone. And if you'd like to help support the channel yourself, you can visit the link in the video description to see how you can do it for as little as $1 a month.